Husband's incredible transformation after discovering heartbreaking truth behind his mother's lie. Jake stood in his cramped garage, the familiar scent of oil and grease blending with the whir of tools and engines, but today everything felt different. The weight of the world pressed down on him, bills and responsibilities piled high, and his dreams of owning a shop felt just out of reach. Affecting him deeply was the thought of providing a good life for Emily and their spirited daughter, Lily, whose dreams of becoming a veterinarian lit up his life. Each car he mended, each spark plug he tightened, was a small testament to his hard work and devotion. Little did he know, something far more significant was waiting in the shadows of his mother's belongings. It was a warm afternoon when Jake stumbled upon a musty envelope, tucked away in a dusty corner of the attic. He felt a prickling curiosity and opened it, revealing a letter from his mother's past that sent his heart plummeting. Each word hit him like a hammer, shattering his very identity. He wasn't her biological child. The truth ripped through him, tearing apart the fabric of all he held dear. His chest tightened as betrayal washed over him. How could she have kept this from him? Every sacrifice she made, every bit of love he thought he knew, felt tainted. Tension brewed at home where Emily watched her husband wrestle with the storm inside, yearning to help but unsure how. As frustrations boiled over, she decided to rally the community in a fundraiser honoring Jake's late mother, a woman well-loved in Maplewood. Yet, her well-meaning initiative unwittingly unearthed long-buried resentments. Old stories erupted, like cracks in a dam, disrupting the peaceful veneer of their tight-knit town. Conversations about loyalty and family resurfaced, revealing raw wounds and painful histories that echoed through the streets. The sense of unity began to tremble, and Jake felt the strain tightening around him, pushing him deeper into a void. Just when it seemed like he might crumble under the pressure, a moment of clarity struck Jake. He sat down, heart racing, and confronted the letter's implications head-on. In that moment, he realized the essence of his mother's love wasn't diminished by biology. It was nurtured through her sacrifices, her hopes and dreams for him, the lessons etched into his very being. His life was not defined by blood, it was shaped by the love, compassion, and hard work he had been raised on. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emboldened by this revelation, Jake turned his pain into purpose. He began reaching out to others in the community who felt disenfranchised, offering hands to those mired in struggles similar to his own. Just as he was finding his footing amidst the chaos, the fundraiser loomed. It didn't just draw in friends and family but brought with it an unexpected guest, a figure from his mother's past. This person carried a history that could change everything Jake thought he knew. As the atmosphere thickened with impending revelations, Jake couldn't shake off the question that lingered: if love transcends blood, what must he uncover about himself? The journey was only just beginning, and the truth loomed ahead like a flickering light in a darkened room. The day of the fundraiser dawned with an energy that crackled in the air. The sun cast a golden glow over Maplewood, but for Jake, the warmth felt distant, overshadowed by an unsettling mix of emotions brewing like a storm just outside the horizon. He stood beside the community center, watching families and friends gather, their laughter mingling with the aroma of barbecued burgers and freshly baked goods. It was meant to be a celebration of his mother's life, a testament to the love that had surrounded her, yet it felt like a pressure cooker ready to blow. Emily was bustling about, organizing tables and chatting with neighbors, her radiant smile unwavering despite the tense atmosphere. Jake admired her strength. She didn't seem to notice the cloud looming over him, but he wished she would. He needed her to know the truth. Inwardly, he struggled to reconcile who he had been with the man who now stood before the crowd. The truth his mother had hidden from him felt like a chain wrapped around his heart. He couldn't decide if he should break it or embrace it. As the event kicked off and laughter filled the air, Jake finally spotted the unexpected guest. A man he had never seen before stood at the edge of the crowd, his familiar crinkled smile sparking a hint of recognition. He was older, with deep-set gray eyes that seemed weighted with wisdom and secrets. Jake watched, intrigue gripping his heart as the man approached Emily and introduced himself as Ralph. He claimed to be a close friend of Jake's mother from years ago. "Mind if I speak with your husband for a moment?" Ralph asked Emily, his voice smooth yet firm. Emily nodded, casting a glance at Jake before returning her focus to the festivities. As Ralph walked towards him, Jake's pulse quickened. He sensed the gravity of their impending conversation, as if the very air had thickened. "Jake, right?" Ralph greeted, extending a hand. "Yeah," Jake replied, shaking the man's hand, feeling the roughness of age in his grip. "Do I know you?" "Not yet, but I knew your mother well. There's a lot that needs to be said about your past." "I think you deserve to know the truth," Ralph said, his eyes glimmering with an urgency that sent shivers through Jake. Jake swallowed hard. His heart raced. The truth he thought he had just come to terms with now felt like a fragile illusion. "What do you mean?" he asked, wrestling with the rising tide of panic. "I don't want to disrupt tonight's event, but your mother had a story," Ralph continued, lowering his voice. "One that involves you and your real origins. You deserve clarity, not shadows." Jake felt the world tilt on its axis. Everything he held on to crumbled. "Why now? Why after all this time?" "Because you need to be ready for what's coming," Ralph replied, eyes earnest and heavy with history. "That letter you found, it's just the tip of the iceberg." As Ralph leaned in closer, Jake sensed the crowd fading into the background. Every laugh, every cheer became a distant echo. He had been building a new life, one anchored in love. But now, an ancient tide threatened to wash it all away. "Meet me after the fundraiser, behind the community center. We need to discuss this. I promise it will change everything you think you know," Ralph insisted. Jake's mind spun with questions. Was he prepared to confront a new truth, one that would shake the very foundation of his identity? He nodded slowly, wrestling with an internal storm of dread and intrigue. In that moment, he felt a flicker of hope mixed with fear. It was a pivotal step toward understanding, but would it lead to closure or only deeper chaos? As the evening wore on, Jake prepared himself for what he must face, knowing now that the shadows of the past were not finished with him yet. Tonight was only the beginning. What lay ahead waited just beyond the reach of his comfort, and it was only getting darker. Jake stood alone, the laughter of friends and families echoing behind him, but he felt an ocean away. The festivities rolled on, a vibrant blur, while he was rooted to the spot, grappling with the weight of Ralph's words. What could be hidden in his mother's past that was so crucial for him to know? A tormented knot twisted in his stomach, and he felt trapped between two worlds, the one where his life made sense and the one threatening to engulf him in darkness. Taking a deep breath, he forced himself to move. He joined Emily at a table, pretending to engage in the cheerful chatter, but his mind raced. He watched her laugh, sparkling under the glow of the lights strung up around the community center. Each giggle seemed to pierce through his distraction, reminding him of the life he wanted to protect. How could he share news of such tumult when she was so blissfully unaware? "Jake, are you okay?" Emily's voice pulled him from his thoughts. Her brow creased with concern, a shadow passing over her smile. "Yeah. Just lost in thought," he replied, trying to summon a reassuring grin. "How's the food situation?" She rolled her eyes playfully. "Are you kidding? These burgers are phenomenal. You need to eat more, mister." He chuckled, though it felt stiff. Time was ticking away until he would meet Ralph. Every second that passed felt loaded, pregnant with whatever revelation lay ahead. He watched families gather around, friends sharing moments, the love in the air palpable, yet his heart felt heavy. Spotting Ralph conversing with some old neighbors across the yard, the man's presence took on a surreal quality. Was he really ready to unravel the tapestry of his life? What did it mean if the fabric was spun from lies? Jake cast a quick glance toward the dessert table where Emily was carefully arranging cupcakes, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Just then, a small child knocked into her table, sending an array of treats tumbling. In a split second, her laughter rang out, effortless amidst the chaos as she rushed to help. It was moments like this that made Jake love her even more. Yet that love bore a weight, a fear of losing what they had built together. "Hey, he said, drawing her attention back to him, "can we talk later? Maybe about something important?" Her expression shifted, concern deepening. "Sure, everything okay?" "Just something I need to clear up," he said, waving off the worry. Even as his own heart thudded in anticipation of impending revelations, the sun began to set, casting the community center in hues of gold and orange. People gathered for the speeches, ready to honor his mother. It was a celebration meant to uplift, yet for him, it felt like the final moments before a storm. He caught Ralph's gaze in the crowd, the man still watching him with the weight of unsaid words burdening his shoulders. As the MC took the stage and began speaking about his mother's kindness, her love, her legacy, Jake felt each word crashing against the barricades of his soul. He wanted to honor her, yet he felt his own world crumbling. The cheers and applause reverberated in his mind like an echo of his own uncertainty. With a final, deep breath, the speeches concluded, and people began to disperse. Jake spotted Ralph moving toward the back of the building and knew it was now or never. "Emily," he murmured, searching her eyes, "I need to go talk to someone. I'll be right back." Without waiting for her response, he stepped away, his feet carrying him towards the shadows behind the community center, where answers lurking in the darkness awaited. The unsettling mix of dread and determination filled him. What truths would emerge, and how would they reshape the life he had forged? Jake emerged into the dimly lit area, heart racing, the world buzzing with a sense of finality that felt electric. "Jake!" Ralph called out, his voice cutting through the darkness. "You came. We have much to discuss." But in that moment, a lingering thought gripped Jake. Could the truth set him free, or was it destined to shatter everything he loved? Jake stepped into the shadows, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. Ralph stood a few paces ahead, his face serious and lined with the weight of unspoken truths. The jovial sounds from the community center faded into a distant hum, replaced by an electric silence that wrapped around them. "Thanks for coming, Jake," Ralph said, his voice low. There was a gravity in his eyes, as if the secrets he held were heavier than stones. "I know this isn't easy for you." "I just want to know," Jake replied, barely managing to keep his emotions in check. "What is it? What do I need to understand about my mom?" The urgency in his voice startled him. Ralph shifted uncomfortably, hands digging into his pockets. "It's about your mother's past. There are layers I don't even know where to start." "Just start anywhere," Jake urged, his heart pounding against his chest. He needed this. At that moment, knowing was far more important than fear. "You remember your mom often spoke of her younger brother? The one who passed away?" Ralph began, his voice almost a whisper. Jake nodded, a distant memory surfacing back to him. The story she told was always tinged with sadness and longing, a secret laced into her very silence. "Well, he wasn't just her brother." Jake's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" "He was my uncle. She told me he died in a car accident when she was young." Ralph hesitated before speaking. "Jake, he was involved in something more dangerous. Something that changed your mother's life. She lost him, yes, but it wasn't an accident. There were decisions being made that cost lives. Your mother had to protect herself." "What are you saying?" Jake's mind raced, trying to grasp the implications. Did he get involved in crime? The word felt foreign in his mouth, yet it clawed at the edges of his reality. "Yes," Ralph confirmed, his gaze steady. "Your mother ran away from that life, made a family away from it. But there are secrets, buried deep. She changed her name. I didn't want to do this to you, but now you're old enough to understand the truth." Jake felt his world tilt. "Why didn't she tell me?" "Yeah, I wish I had an answer," Ralph replied, pain etched in his face. "She thought she could protect you. But the truth doesn't disappear, it looms over us, ready to chase us down." Jake took a step back. The laughter and joy from the celebration felt like a cruel mockery now. Everything he knew was at stake. Could this really be what defined his family? A past riddled with shadows? Anger flared inside him, mingling with confusion. Is that why you found me? To tell me this? I came to warn you. There are people who still want something from your mother. They could come after her again, Ralph interjected, voice rising with urgency. You need to prepare yourself. A wave of protectiveness surged within him. You're scaring me. I can't just stand by and let something happen to her. Ralph stepped closer, speaking softly but firmly. You need to approach this carefully. We must uncover everything and find out who is still searching for her. Jake's heart raced, fueled by a torrent of logic and instinct. So what do I do? I have to talk to her. I need to understand. I won't stand by while this continues, Jake. Listen, Ralph's tone shifted, almost pleading. You need to think. How do you think she'll react? She's fragile, scared. This could unravel everything. But before Jake could respond, a noise interrupted them. A figure emerged from the edge of the shadows. In the faint light, Jake could see familiar features and an unmistakable posture. Jake, Emily's voice echoed, filled with worry. What is going on? Caught between the voice of his past and the love of his present, Jake felt everything collide in an instant. Emily, wait. I can explain, he called, desperation blending with fear. But as she stepped closer, her expression shifted from concern to confusion. Jake realized that the very fabric of his world was about to unravel, and he had to decide what truth he was ready to face. What would he tell her? Would the revelations tear them apart? The stakes were higher than ever, and now the truth was not just his burden, it was theirs. As he looked between Ralph and Emily, he understood that he had to make a choice. But was he ready for the consequences those choices would bring? Jake's heart thudded in his chest. The air felt thick, charged with emotions he couldn't fully grasp. He took a deep breath, glancing at Ralph, whose face was a mask of concern, and then back to Emily. The sweet girl who had painted bright colors in his everyday life stood before him, her eyes now swirling with uncertainty. Jake? She asked again, her voice small. What do you mean explain? The words felt like boulders lodged in his throat. This was the moment of truth, the edge of a precipice. He could feel it. The stakes were high, the weight of family secrets and the love for Emily hanging in the balance. I just found out something about my mom. About her past, he managed to say, but the words barely scratched the surface. Emily took a step closer, her eyebrows knitting together in worry. What about her past? What is going on? Ralph shifted beside Jake, and Jake could sense the tension radiating off him. Maybe it's not the best time for this, Ralph offered quietly, but Jake could barely hear him over the thundering in his ears. No, Ralph, Jake replied fiercely, surprising himself. She deserves to know. He turned to Emily, his gaze piercing into hers, as if he could convey everything through sheer will. Emily, you won't believe what I found out. It's about my uncle. My mom never told me he was involved in something dangerous. Something that could come back to hurt us. Emily's eyes widened, and he could see the puzzle pieces slowly coming together in her mind. The jovial atmosphere from the celebration felt worlds away, leaving only the gravity of their reality. Dangerous? What do you mean by that? He hesitated, the words battling against his tongue. How could he explain years of secrecy and pain? Ralph says my mom changed her name and ran away from all of it. From a life she wanted to escape. But now there are people looking for her again. For us. Jake. The weight of that last word hung in the air between them, heavy with implications. Are you sure? This sounds unbelievable. I wish it wasn't. He snapped, his frustration bubbling at the surface. But it's true. Ralph wouldn't lie to me. We can't just ignore it. Emily looked from Jake to Ralph and back again, her brows knitting tighter. And you think talking about it will help? I need you to trust me, he replied, desperation creeping into his voice. We can face this together. I can't let this stand. But we need to prepare. If someone's coming for her, we can't be caught off guard. Ralph intervened, stepping forward. Jake, we need a plan. We can't just charge in blindly. Your mom, she's been running from this for so long. We need to tread lightly. Emily's confusion morphed into determination. Then let us get to the bottom of this. Together. A part of Jake warmed at her willingness to fight alongside him, tethered by love and shared resolve. Okay, he breathed, calmed slightly by her presence. But it means facing some hard truths we might not want to hear. As they stood there, a muted tension enveloped them, mixing with a sense of impending danger. It was the calm before the storm, and Jake could feel the winds shifting. Can we talk to her? Emily asked, the question carrying both a weight and a thread of fear. Jake swallowed hard. I hope we can. But we need to be ready for how she might react. In that moment, a shiver ran down his spine. Was he truly prepared for what might spill from those lips? A mother's truth could either tear them apart or bind them closer. As they moved deeper into this tangled web of secrets, Jake knew one thing: the journey ahead would demand more than just courage. It would ask for sacrifice, understanding, and a willingness to confront even the darkest shadows of their past. Let us go, Jake finally said, gripping Emily's hand tightly. We have to find her before it's too late. But as they turned to leave, an icy feeling washed over him, a foreboding that they were already too late. What awaited them in that fragile moment? Would the truth bring them together, or would it cast them into darkness? They stepped into the dim hallway, the muffled sounds of the party fading behind them. Jake felt the cool air brush against his skin, and with it came a rush of cold dread. Every step toward the living room felt like walking into the heart of a storm, filled with uncertainty and the echoes of unspoken fears. Emily glanced at him, her eyes wide and resolute. Do you think she knows? She whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Jake shook his head, unsure. Maybe. My mom keeps a lot buried. But whatever it is, it can't be good. Ralph followed closely, his thoughts visibly racing. If she knows, it might change everything. We need to approach this delicately, Jake. This is her life we're talking about. As they approached the living room door, Jake paused. The world outside felt like a distant memory. This room was where laughter usually echoed, where family dinners were filled with affection. Now, as he rested his hand on the doorknob, he felt like a stranger. He could barely remember the peaceful time spent here, now only shadows of their former warmth. Taking a deep breath, he turned the knob slowly. The door creaked open, and what he saw made his heart plummet. His mother stood at the window, her back to them, silhouetted against the fading light. The soft glow from outside painted her in a golden hue, but the tension in her posture revealed a deep sadness. Mom? Jake's voice trembled as he stepped inside. She turned to face him, and her eyes glistened, like pools of troubled water. Jake, she began, but the words got caught in her throat. Please, we need to talk. The urgency in his tone seemed to pull Ralph and Emily inside as well. They stood silently, waiting for what would unfold. His mother's gaze darted between them, confusion and fear intertwining on her face. What is going on? We found out something about Uncle Sam about what happened, Jake said, his heart racing. And we think it might be connected to you. To us. The air thickened as Jake spoke those words. His mother's features shifted, a mask of composure cracking just a little. Jake, you have to understand, I did everything to protect you. From what? He demanded, desperation clawing at him. From the truth? Why couldn't you just tell me what was going on? I'm not a kid anymore. Tears spilled down her cheeks, shimmering in the soft light. I thought I could shield you from it all. I thought I could outrun our past. Her voice was thick with emotion, almost breaking. Emily stepped forward, her gentle presence like a soft light. We just want to help you, Mrs. Johnson. But we need the truth. Several long moments hung in silence, the kind that seemed to stretch on endlessly, heavy with words left unspoken. Jake saw his mother's inner struggle, the fear of opening a door she had kept locked for so long. If I tell you, it could put you in danger. Jake clenched his fists, fighting back a whirlwind of emotions. Could it be worse than hiding it from us? In that instant, a flash of resolve crossed her face. Fine. But you must promise to listen, shut out all judgments until I finish. Just tell us, please, he implored, the fight draining out of him. There was a vulnerability in her eyes that tugged at his heart. As she prepared to reveal the truth, the weight of the world hung in the balance. Jake's mind raced. What secrets lay beneath the surface? What heartache had his mother carried in silence? But before she could speak, the haunting sound of a door slamming echoed from outside, and Jake's stomach sank. Someone was here. Someone who didn't belong. They were not just racing against time. They were racing against a ticking clock of menace that felt closer with every heartbeat. Would they manage to unveil the truth before it all fell apart? And what price would they have to pay to face it? The sound of the door slamming came again, louder this time, sending a jolt through Jake's body. His mother's eyes widened, a mix of fear and recognition flashing across her face. I shouldn't have let you come here, she whispered harshly, stepping reflexively between Jake and the window as if that would block the impending danger. What do you mean? Ralph asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil growing around them. Before his mom could respond, heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. The tense silence was suddenly filled with the sound, dragging an uninvited weight into the room. Jake felt every muscle in his body tense as they all turned toward the door, a collective breath held, hearts racing in fearful anticipation. Mom, who is it? Jake urged, his eyes darting between her frightened gaze and the door. She glanced back, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. You need to hide, she said quickly, urgency dripping from each word. Emily shifted nervously, looking around for an escape route, but they were rooted to the spot, bound by the gravity of the moment. No, we're not leaving you, Jake declared, his voice trembling. Please, his mother insisted, the tears on her cheeks shining like tiny stars of despair. If they know you're here. The footsteps grew louder, thudding closer, echoing through the hallway. A voice, gravelly and harsh, cut through the air. I know you're in there, Lisa. Jake felt a chill slide down his spine. Who is it? He whispered, his voice almost breaking. It's someone from my past, she said, her breath hitching. A debt I thought I could escape. Ralph took a step forward, determination flaring up in him. What debt? What is going on? Before his mother could respond, the door burst open, revealing a figure shadowed against the hallway light. A tall man stepped in, his face obscured but the menace clear in his stance. Jake felt the air leave his lungs. He had never seen this man, yet something deep inside him instinctively warned of danger. Looks like the family reunion got a little bigger, the man sneered, his voice low and mocking as he scanned the room. Get out. Jake's mother barked, her protective instinct rising. You have no right to be here. The man chuckled, eyes glistening with a perverse enjoyment. Right? You gave that up a long time ago, Lisa. It's time to pay for what you owe. No. Jake stepped forward, fierce defensiveness surging through him. You can't come in here and threaten her. He glanced at Emily and Ralph, their faces mirroring his dread but also a flicker of shared strength. Jake, don't. His mother pleaded, stepping closer to him as if to shield him from the looming threat. In that heartbeat of chaos, Jake realized the truth was not just waiting to be told, it was fraught with dangers that crept closer with every moment. This was bigger than their family, it was a storm unleashed from the shadows of the past. Just then, the man took a step forward, closing the distance. You don't even know what you're dealing with, kid, he said, smirking, a predator savoring the hunt. Jake felt the blood rush to his ears. What would happen next? Would they be torn apart by family secrets that had festered for too long? He clutched his mother's hand tightly, sensing her fear and his own deepening resolve. They had to brace themselves for this storm. Jake, listen to me, she whispered urgently, eyes locking on his. Whatever happens next, you must know I did this for you. I'd do anything to keep you safe. Before she could finish, the man laughed, the sound chilling as it echoed off the walls, wrapping around them like ice. Jake's heart raced. This fight was just beginning, and the truth was still waiting in the shadows, but an even darker secret began to swirl deeper within him, sparking with flames of both curiosity and dread. What did his mother know that could change everything? As the tension thickened, Jake heard his racing heart echo back through the silence, punctuating the growing fear soon to be unleashed. What lay ahead could shatter them all, but he had to know. "Mom," Jake said resolutely, looking her in the eye. "Whatever it takes, please, tell me everything." And with that declaration, the door to the unknown creaked open wider, beckoning both terror and the promise of revelation. The man's laughter hung in the air, slicing through the tension like a knife. Jake felt the world around him shrink, concentrating all his fear into a tight ball in his stomach. He could feel his mother's grip tighten around his hand, and he wished desperately for a moment to gather strength. "It's time we have a little chat," the man said, his voice dripping with malice. He stepped further into the room, revealing more of himself under the flickering light. Jake noticed scars lining his arms, a testament to a life filled with violence. "Go ahead," Jake said, the words bursting from him despite everything. "What do you want from us?" The man's expression twisted, amusement dancing in his eyes. "So brave. So stupid." He took another step closer. "You think you can protect her? You have no idea what she has done. Stop it." Jake's voice rose, fueled by an instinctual need to defend his mother. "You don't know anything about her." "Oh, I know plenty, kid." The man leaned in, his breath rancid with years of bad choices. "And I'm only here to collect what's owed. Let me make it simple. Your mother borrowed from people who don't take no for an answer." "Borrowed?" Ralph interjected, his tone a mix of disbelief and anger. "Is that what you call it? Extorting? Threatening?" Jake glanced at Ralph, appreciating his solidarity but knowing this was bigger than bravado. He turned back to his mother, whose face had gone pale, a flicker of guilt flashing across her features. "Mom, what did you do?" Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I thought I could handle it, Jake. I didn't want you to know. I wanted to protect you." "By lying?" Jake exclaimed, feelings of betrayal sharp within him. "Enough!" the man shouted, his anger rising. "This isn't a family therapy session. I came here to settle a debt, and it's time you learned what that means." He reached into his pocket, and Jake's heart thundered in his chest. He had to act. "We can work this out. Please, just leave her alone," he implored, stepping forward again, desperate to shield his mother from the impending storm. The man's eyes hardened, the jovial facade dropping away. "Work it out? You're adorable." He pulled out a dusty, old envelope, tossing it onto the table between them. "This is the ledger. I've laid it all out for you, debts, names, everything. Just remember, it's not a great idea to ignore what's written there." "What's that supposed to mean?" Emily whispered, her hands shaking at her sides. "It means, kid, that running away from your past is a losing game. You think you can just say a few nice words and erase the damage? No. You need to understand, if I don't get paid soon, there will be consequences. And consequences, trust me, are not what you want to deal with." His voice was a low growl. Jake's heart raced as he processed this new truth. Could they really be in danger? What had his mother gotten them into? "Mom, tell me everything about this," Jake demanded, fear mixing with anger. The shadows were growing long, threatening to swallow them whole. His mother's face was a mask of anguish. "I thought I could protect you from it, Jake. I thought it was over. I never wanted you to know about this life." The man snickered, enjoying their turmoil. "This life doesn't just disappear, Lisa. You know that." As Jake stood, ready to fight for his family and integrity, he felt the weight of shadows creeping closer. His mother's past had caught up with them. "Mom, please," he pleaded, his voice breaking. "Tell me everything before it's too late." The man pushed the envelope closer, anticipation crackling in the air. "Or I'll take what's mine." Jake's breath hitched in his throat. What had he just opened himself to? Was the truth worth the risk? He could feel the walls closing in, fear wrapping around him like a vice. What revelation lay beneath that envelope? Was it a lifeline or their doom? Jake held his mother's gaze, willing her to see the urgency in his plea, but the dark clouds loomed, and he knew their fight was only just beginning. Jake felt suspended in a moment that stretched into eternity. The flickering bulb overhead seemed to pulse with the weight of their despair. He glanced at the envelope, silently shouting secrets, then back at his mother's face, which looked drawn and weary, like someone carrying a burden far too heavy. "Mom," he said slowly, his voice thick with confusion and frustration. "What do you mean you thought it was over?" His mother inhaled deeply, as if trying to gather the fragments of a lifetime and piece them together before their eyes. "I made choices when I was younger, bad choices. I thought I could outsmart my debts, that they would just go away." She hesitated, her eyes drifting to the envelope, and Jake could see the fight in her diminish as the shadows waved through her. The man leaned against the wall, arms crossed and smirk still plastered on his face. "You are running out of time, Lisa. You should have known that someone like me doesn't just go away." Jake's anger flared. "What do you want from my mother?" He spat, his voice cracking. "Simple," the man replied coolly. "I need what's owed. But it's not just money. There are services I could use." She's put herself in a position that's hard to back out of. Emily's breaths quickened. "What services? What does that even mean?" The man's dismissive glance said it all, holding a promise of nightmares they couldn't fully comprehend. "Mom, please." Jake's heart raced as panic clawed at him. "Just tell me. We can fix this together." "Jake, you don't understand." Emily's voice trembled, the anger slipping away to reveal a sorrow she had tried to shield him from. "I'm ashamed of what I did. I thought it wouldn't affect you," but her voice trailed off as if the words no longer had the power to convey the weight of her actions. "Your mother isn't the only one with debts though," the man interjected, cutting through the emotion. His gaze sharpened. "If she won't pay her debt, perhaps you will. Let us say it's a family matter. Might need to make a sacrifice." "What?" Jake's stomach twisted. "You can't do that. You can't enough." The man shouted, silencing him. "Decisions need to be made." He raised an eyebrow, taking a step closer to Jake, his presence radiating danger and dark energy. Jake stood frozen while his mother looked like she might melt into the shadows. Jake reached for her hand, clasping it tightly, infusing it with fragile pieces of courage. "If you think I'll let you hurt her," he declared, but doubt crept in, a heavy blanket that threatened to smother him. He glanced at the ledger, its corners frayed, and realized it was more than just records. It was a map of a past he never wanted to explore. "Maybe you'll let her go if you take a little trip with me," the man taunted, his lips curling into a sinister smile. "Or perhaps you'll give me some value in return. Maybe there's something you aren't aware of. This neighborhood has a way of swallowing whole." "Jake," Emily whispered, panic flooding her tone. "What are you talking about?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper, the horrifying implications wrapping around him like chains. "Let's just say," the man continued, his wicked grin growing wider, "family secrets have a nasty way of bubbling to the surface. And if the truth comes out, it might just be the very thing that destroys you all." Jake felt his whole world tilting, the ground beneath him unstable. Could he really protect his mother from the consequences of her past? "Mom, we need to run," he urged, but deep down, Jake sensed that running away would only solidify their fate. Could he confront the truth long hidden beneath the surface? And what else could this man reveal? As the tension thickened, with so much at stake, Jake's heart raced with uncertainty. They were out of time, and the clock was ticking louder with every passing second. What would the man do next? Would the truths about their family tear them apart or bind them closer together? In that charged moment, a fierce light ignited in Jake's heart. This darkness wouldn't consume him, not while he had the chance to stand for his family. "You think you can come in here, throw threats around, and just take what you want? He barked, his voice firm despite the fear swirling inside him. The man's grin faltered for a heartbeat. The pause caught Jake's attention, a flicker of recognition crossing the stranger's face. This time, Jake stepped forward, fueled by a surge of adrenaline. You're wrong. We're more than your old debts or shadows from the past. You don't know us. Courage doesn't intimidate me, kid, the man sneered, but Jake saw a flash of uncertainty in his eyes. Ralph shifted closer, putting an arm protectively around Emily as the room pulsed with tension. They all stood united, anchored by a shared promise they would face whatever lurked ahead together. Let us make it simple, Ralph said, his voice low yet assertive. You want something, we can negotiate. But you'd better realize this community protects its own, and we're not going to let you get away with this. Jake's heart swelled. They weren't alone. They had each other. Fine, the man replied, regaining his composure. Then let us talk. How much do you think she owes? He waved a hand dismissively at Jake's mother. We don't have time for pleasantries. My clients don't appreciate delay. His mother, terrified but resolute, stepped forward. How do you expect us to come up with anything? I don't keep cash hidden away. I thought I was done running. Her voice wavered but harbored a strength he had not recognized in her before. A debt isn't erased because you wish it to be, the man replied, eyes glinting. And I've come to collect. But here's the thing, he said, leaning in ominously. Breaking a promise can have devastating consequences. Family should value family, don't you think? Jake felt rage stir within him. What kind of family are you talking about? The one that lives on fear and threats? You're nothing but a coward hiding behind those words. The man's facade cracked just for a moment. Careful, kid, he warned. Your mother is the one in debt, not you. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Together, that makes you part of the equation. Enough. Jake's mother declared, finding strength in vulnerability. You want to fight? I'm not going to let you dismantle my family. I made mistakes, but I'm not ashamed of who I am today. You want payment? Let us settle this like civilized people, no more threats. The man stepped back, momentarily taken aback by her conviction. Civilized? You were anything but. The world you're talking about is long gone, Lisa. What do you think, this is some fairy tale where everyone walks away happy? Jake seized that moment of uncertainty. You think you know what we are? You're wrong, he said, the words flowing from his heart. My mother has given every ounce of love she could muster. We built a life knowing the truth would be a burden to carry. But together, we'll carry it. We'll face whatever comes next, and you. Before he could finish, there was a sharp knock on the door. The man turned abruptly, annoyance flickering in his eyes. Perfect timing, he muttered. More guests to play with. As he shifted, Jake felt Emily's fingers tighten around his arm. What do we do? She whispered urgently. He met her gaze, finding fierce determination reflected back at him. Whatever came next, whatever hidden past threatened to unearth itself, they were ready to confront it. Family meant standing together, not letting shadows or threats dictate their fears. The man opened the door, revealing two men whom Jake didn't recognize. They entered with a swagger, causing a ripple of alarm in the room. What is going on here, Lisa? One of the newcomers growled. The other's eyes trailed over Jake and Emily, a predatory gleam igniting. Jake took a deep breath, anchoring into the present, tapping into the strength of love that filled the space around them. You're not welcome here, he declared, the authority in his voice echoing through the charged atmosphere. This ends now. No more games, no more lies. You want the truth? Then hear it. The truth will outlast your facade. We're done being pawns in this game. His mother stood beside him, courage radiating from her. You don't control us. We are family. We stand together against whatever comes because love is stronger than fear. Surprising grins flickered across the newcomers' faces. Well, this is interesting. You four think you've got it all figured out? The first man replied, crossing his arms. You think love is going to protect you from the truth? With a surge of confidence, Jake replied, we don't just have love. We have each other. And if you're here to settle scores, know that family is worth fighting for. The tension shifted beneath the surface as anticipation hung thick in the air. Whatever was about to unfold, they had already begun a movement. A moment occurred, collective realization dawning upon them. They were a unit anchored by love, not just blood. Maybe it's time we talk. All of us, about what's really happened, Ralph spoke up, an ember of hope lighting in his eyes. Maybe we can find a way to resolve this without tearing the family apart. In this strange amalgamation of truth and tension, Jake felt the chaotic energy coalesce into a solid possibility. They had faced the past, they could take on the future. Jake looked around at his allies, the people who mattered most, and knew they would travel this uncertain path together. Let's talk, Jake said, a newfound fire igniting in his voice. Because as long as we face it together, we will emerge stronger. You'll find we're not as easy to break as you think. With that proclamation, he opened the door to the unknown, ready to step into whatever awaited them on the other side. The fear of losing everything transformed into determination, igniting his very soul. Together, they could reshape their narrative, they could rewrite their fate. As the shadows began to recede, a light appeared at the end of the tunnel, a truth gathering strength, waiting to be liberated and faced head-on, leaving behind the burdens of betrayal and lies. Family, love, and courage surged forward, a beacon illuminating their way through the darkness, as they faced their past, their future, and the bonds that held them together. This was not just an ending, but a bold new beginning. Now it's your turn to be part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and become part of our community. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of this.